on the line right now Randy Falk and Trevor Zammit from NECA. Very excited to have them joining us. Guys, welcome to Yes Have Some Podcast for your first time.
Thanks for having us.
We needed like a drum roll or something.
How's it going, guys?
Very good.
Y'all.
Welcome. Trevor, you reached out to us the other day on Instagram. I guess you had found either the page or the podcast, and I guess we didn't meet at Toy Fair. It's funny, we kind of lurked around the NECA booth like the entire weekend just because we're such
creepers,
basically. But man, I guess to start off with, I know we're in some crazy times right now. How are you guys doing? What's the adjustment been as far as workload during quarantine and pandemic and all of that?
Trevor, how's it affected you?
I work from home, so it hasn't, like, work for me hasn't really changed at all. And thankfully, we're still, like, we're as busy as we've ever been. So I'm very thankful for that. I know the rest of the team is kind of scattered throughout the country. Like, there's sculptors, kind of all over the place. Most of the painters are in-house. Like, Randy's, had to readjust some stuff in the studio in New Jersey. But me personally, it's been pretty much the same. I just can't run out to a store if I want to buy like paint or any supplies like styrene or anything to sculpt anything. It's, that's a little more challenging now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think all of us are feeling that, and like it feels normal. Like life feels normal until you need to go do the thing that you need to do, and then you realize you can't. So you kind of get those reminders every day. Randy, you're on the East Coast. You're in Jersey. How about you guys? I mean, I know, like from what I can tell, nothing's slowing down as far as like distribution. You've got new releases coming. Are you guys feeling the effects though?
Only in the sense of, like the social distancing and the guidelines that are in place in the state, which they're starting to loosen up a little, but the last few months it's been a challenge just because anyone, that doesn't have to, isn't supposed to come to work. And then any of our guys or employees who have children and don't have daycare, so they have to be home. So we've had to adapt and have a lot of working from home, and our painters particularly are coming in, like picking up and dropping off work a couple times a week, but the majority of their stuff's being done at home. And our sculptors are kind of scattered all over. Like, Trevor's in California. We have sculptors in Tennessee, in Oklahoma, in Kansas City. But we also have sculptors in New York and New Jersey. And for the most part, they have not been coming in either. They've been working from home and only coming in to like drop off a completed project or pick up new work. So it's just been a bit of a reshuffling or juggling act to keep everything moving and getting it all done when we're not all under one roof. So logistically, it's a little bit harder because there's only two people that have been in the studio every day, like the entire time, and not missed a single day. But that's, what we've had to do to keep things going and to keep things moving at the pace we're at. Because production and manufacturing pretty much caught up within a few weeks. Like China got things under control shortly after Chinese New Year. So, and we have a lot of new items shipping for summer, for what would have been convention season, and then a whole bunch of stuff leading into the fall and like all the horror related stuff for the Halloween season. So, like Trevor said, we're busier than ever. It's just, fewer people doing more work, I guess, for a little while, but we're hoping that everyone will be back in house, in the coming weeks as the restrictions lessen and, life sort of gets back to normal.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned having sculptors all over. And like, I think the one thing, as fans of what you guys do, and like Jake, Abby, and myself, we have these conversations. And the one where the thing we always come back to with NECA is how the fuck are you doing this? Like from a perspective of why are the stuff that you guys are putting out and have been putting out for years is so much better. It looks so much better than like any horror figure you put out, whether it's, Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers or whatever, or all the TMNT stuff, all the Godzilla stuff, it's just so much. The quality and the likenesses are so much better.
Packaging.
The packaging than any other toy company, and your price points aren't like, to me, any one of your 6 or 7 inch action figures could be a $50 or $60 figure, and and the fact that they're not is I guess what I'm saying is thank you as a collector. I didn't even ask a question. I was just rambling there, but I know Jake agrees.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we've talked about it a lot. It's insane looking at the likenesses of some of these figures and being like, I just don't understand how you can get the you look at some other companies that might have done like maybe some of the same actors, and you look at the likenesses over there and then look at the likenesses over here, and I'm like, this is so completely, it's like not even on the same thing here. I don't understand it.
Yeah. So what we're saying is we don't understand, but we appreciate it.
Right.
Well, I appreciate that you guys notice and certainly recognize or can make the comparison. We always do ourselves when you see stuff that other people have done, whether it's from the same film or not, or just the same talent in a different role. We look at what's out there and kind of figure out like where they went wrong or right, and sort of use that as part of our, reference or a guideline of, what to look at in 3D. And I think that the other thing is that too many other companies rely on the facial scanning or a 3D model, like a scan of someone's face as the likeness. Like if they have the scan, they think that's it, and then they don't do anything else to it. Typically, we don't use any scans for likeness. They're almost all traditional. But even in the rare case that we have used them, we have a sculptor going back in, traditional sculptor going back in and really tweaking and finessing the likeness and bringing out things in it that the scan doesn't capture. And part of it's their familiarity with the personality they're doing, but also just the experience and knowing like it's not a caricature, right? But there's certain things you have to push a little further or maybe exaggerate just to make it work as a toy. And the scale that you're at, there's things that you have to sort of finesse or do that like a scan or a computer can't do for you, that pushes it over the edge and makes it look better than what everyone else, is doing. And I think that is definitely a part of it.
For sure. I mean, that makes perfect sense. That love and that
extra time and effort, having the tools and the talent to do it, it definitely shows.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you see that?
Okay. Yeah, we get it. We get it. So I wanted to backtrack a little bit and talk about Toy Fair. So, when like we were talking, Randy, before we got started, it was our first Toy Fair, but we've been following Toy Fair. We know about the Pixel Dan interviews, and we know what the NECA booth is all about. So we made it a point. First thing, we're walking to that booth. We get into Toy Fair. When we walked in there and saw the Back to the Future figures and the Jaws figures, I couldn't even. I just looked at Jake, and Jake literally had his hands on his head. So, and I'm not exaggerating. So these are two properties that have been like Back to the Future, Jaws. Like, we're never going to get these figures. They don't have the likeness rights. It's never going to happen. It's too complicated. So how did these, and maybe it's two completely different stories, maybe they're similar, but how long were these properties or these licenses in the works, and what kind of is the behind the scenes that goes into making something like Back to the Future happen when it's never happened before?
Right. Both situations are a little different. With Back to the Future, it became sort of a focus for the studio that they were celebrating the anniversary again. Like, they did quite a bit of stuff about 5 years ago for the 30th, but they wanted to do, just as much, if not more, for the 35th. And we stepped up and said that we would like to be a part of it and do action figures because it's never been done. We know the fan base is there, and outside of what Hot Toys did around the 30th, which is, too expensive for most people and also doesn't get really wide distribution in the US or anything. There isn't much out there. In the 35-year history of it, the audience is pretty much starved. You have a lot of stuff about the DeLorean, but not much else. So we stepped up, but it's a process because the studio does not have the rights to any of the talent, as you mentioned. They never had. So in order to do that, we have to make individual licensing deals with Michael J. Fox or Christopher Lloyd or Tom Wilson's Biff, and any and all that we want to do, we have to get to them, get them to, feel comfortable and want to do it. And of course, provide some sort of, financial compensation as well. So it's involved, like besides all the creative, like, on our team, between the sculpting and the painting and the package design, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on the back end in terms of licensing and lawyers and, not the most exciting, but it's the most essential in order to get any of these deals to happen. So that's pretty much, what went on all through the fall as we pursued talent. And in some cases, sometimes we have to start some preliminary sculpts to show them like, hey, this is what it will look like, and to get them comfortable as you work out the legal details. And there are more figures coming that we haven't shown, and more than likely some of those will be from other actors that are in the film. Just some deals maybe took a little longer to finalize, and until everyone's signed off and everything's all buttoned up, we couldn't show or talk about any of those. But the line is more than what you've seen, and we've been able to get more people on board, and I think it's going to be great. It should be out September, in time for like all the Back to the Future themed stuff they do in October, around the day when Marty travels back. And we plan on continuing it into next year and refreshing it with more figures. Like I said, there'll be certainly characters that no one has seen yet, which is pretty cool. And then for Jaws, it's a little bit different because there isn't like a big program or anything going on around an anniversary, but Jaws is a favorite movie of many of us in the studio. And it's one that's never had any toys with likeness at all. So we spent, again, the same team of people spent a lot of time tracking down, in the case of Roy Scheider and Robert Shaw, their estate. So their heirs, basically, whether it's a son, a grandson, a granddaughter, whoever is in charge of their likeness and carrying on their legacy, we had to find who that was, get to that person, and then make a deal with them to use their likeness in creating the action figures. So fortunately, we're able to do that, and they've been really supportive, and they really like the sculpts that we've done, which is great. And I think we're going to do more from Jaws next year. So hopefully, if there's a toy fair in February, you'll see a whole bunch of more Jaws stuff again. So.
Hell yes. We appreciate you guys doing the legwork on that stuff.
Yeah.
For real. We're big Jaws
because we don't know how.
Yeah, we have no idea.
I'm calling Robert Shaw's son. Like, hi, I have a proposal. I have no ties to NECA, but I think that you guys should make this happen. Jake, you're one of the biggest Jaws fans I know. You've got a giant collection. I know that you were quite impressed and taken aback once we saw those figures on display. So I think it's funny though, because I know you guys had mentioned on Twitter that the Hooper figure wasn't going to happen because of Dreyfuss. And we've all met Richard Dreyfuss, and I think a lot of that it depends on the day with him. He goes back. He does a lot of conventions, and the last time we met him, him and his wife were arguing over whether or not it was time for him to eat his sandwich. So there's some funny stuff there. So listen, so you guys
I never got to meet him, and to be fair, just so people know, like I've never spoken to him directly. Even many cases, certainly with Dreyfus, since he is still alive and with us, we're going through agents or managers in this case, and sometimes you don't know if the talent ever sees the deal or knows about what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
Honestly, sometimes the agents and the managers have their own agenda or are there to protect their client and do their job. So you don't even know. But yeah, Dreyfus is still a no. He's not in the line, but we're looking at other stuff, other formats and other figure forms that we can do next year beyond what we, are doing this year. And of course, we are working on this massive, about 30-inch Bruce the Shark. So there's a bunch of cool stuff in the works.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to ask, because whoever we had talked to at Toy Fair, we had talked to some of the reps. They had mentioned that Bruce was hopefully going to be coming, so that's really great to hear. I think people are going to be very excited about that. So yeah, let's talk Ninja Turtles, because you guys have starting. I guess it's been 2 or 3 years now since you did the animated style figures. And then the movie figures, and now obviously everybody knows what's happened since then. So, I mean, talk about a line that has taken off, has unlimited potential, and is just like, you guys were right on the brink of like, when we, again, going back to Toy Fair, when we walked in and it was like, oh my God, Super Shredder. Oh my God, Toka, Reza. Oh my God. Like, it's so overwhelming. And then it's like, how long do we have to wait? Okay, June, July, let's do it. Let's make it happen. So what's next in that line as far as releases, and where are people going to be able to track that stuff down?
Trevor, you want to handle what's about to come out? Because I sent you some samples the other day that are on their way to stores.
Yeah, sure. Wave 3 for the cartoon series is about to hit Target, and that's like Casey Jones with like a hacked up, we're calling him the slashed foot soldier, where he's like his torso split in half.
Right.
There's April with another battle damaged foot soldier. And then Leatherhead and the cartoon version of Slash. And they're all really cool. Like Leatherhead is just like massive, like he was on the show. He's like, bigger than Shredder and Bebop and Rocksteady. He's like a massive figure. And Slash is super cartoon accurate. It's like a lot of people forget what Slash looked like on the show because he's only in like 2 or 3 episodes. It's really goofy and weird looking. And, we got to do cartoon Casey Jones and cartoon April, and they're all really cool. They're going to be shipping soon and in Target and probably like a couple weeks or a month, maybe. Right, Randy?
Yeah, I think April and the April pack and the Leatherhead pack shipped first, so they should show up the last week of June, and probably the Casey pack the week after. And also right in that mix is our first deluxe ultimate figure in the cartoon line, and that is Metalhead.
Yeah, and the packaging alone on Metalhead is like worth the price of admission. Like I mean, that is what, like, putting together this line, like, even if you're like sometimes with these toy lines, like, sometimes it's a tease because maybe 2 or 3 figures comes out and that's it, and that's all that happens, and you have it. But like, knowing that you guys are like diving into these like characters that, because obviously like the original Playmates line is so extensive, so there's a lot that can be done, and obviously the show ran for 10 seasons, so there's like this wealth of characters to pull from. But you need that, but you also need like hardcore collectors who are going to be willing to, like, you can't just dive into like B-side characters on any line. So the fact that you have the ability to do that with Turtles is just like kind of unreal.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't before, only like years ago. we could only do like one release a year because our license was so restrictive to conventions only, and that was it. So we had like one chance to play the whole year long. And, you know, at that point it was like, okay, 1 year is the Turtles, and then the next year Shredder and the Foot. And we couldn't grow the line because we weren't able to sell it, you know, at retail. And that was a frustration because we were building a big following and the collectors really loved what we were doing. It was the first time their needs were really being serviced, where someone stepped up and did the figures, you know, the right way. But thankfully over the years, the licensing restrictions have opened up some, and we're able to do a heck of a lot more. And then the programs we've done at Target and prior to Target at GameStop with the movie Turtles, like everything has been super successful, which has allowed us to do a whole lot more. Like a few years, Trevor's worked on the line with me really not since the beginning. The beginning was the Mirage Turtles, which we did many, many years ago. But ever since we started doing cartoon and movie, Trevor's been there the whole time, and he knows the ideas and the desire to do more was always there, but our hands were tied. And now to like see it grow and see that we're at like somewhere, I don't know, between 35 or 40 cartoon figures maybe by the end of this year. And, you know, to see that we have 3 different lines running right now simultaneously at different destinations, with the 1990 movie stuff at Walmart, the cartoon at Target, and then the Turtles in Time video game line at Specialty. So a couple of years ago, we couldn't even fathom that we'd ever be in this position where we have 3 different turtle lines at actual retail where people can go to the store or, you know, or buy them online or whatever. And, you know, it's been a freaking blast.
Yeah. Well,
really
well, I was just going to say, the thing is like you're building like it's funny when you're a company that's putting out a product and you can develop a fan base, because at the end of the day, you guys are trying to put out products that people want so everybody can make money and have a job and all of that stuff. But like we're loyal fans. Like when the Loot Crate stuff started, it's like no questions asked, boom, buying it. Okay, you're doing 3 more, boom, buying it, because it's like, you know what the quality is going to be, and you know, like it's very important to also support the like. There's
we're all ambassadors.
Yeah, we're all Target ambassadors. Okay, okay.
I'll let you guys know.
Yeah. Abby wanted to make sure we brought that up.
We're proud. You might know us already.
But there's this weird thing that this is where we butt heads with. You know, we've kind of built a community around our podcast of a little bit more positivity in collecting and staying away from, like, you know, obviously you guys probably see it all the time.
Entitlement.
Yeah. And it's weird. Like I was laughing because Jake called me the other day. He was like, hey, there's still 2 Bebop and Rocksteadies at my Target. And I was like, see, they're out there. You just got to do it. You got to get out there. But we're loyal to because we want the brand to succeed, and we want more. Like if you thought the first 40 Turtles were great, like we want to see that second 40. And we know that, like, you have to kind of get behind it and rally behind it and be as positive as you can. Cause not everybody's going to get everything they want all the time, but you guys are like going the extra mile. And Trevor, the fact that you're working on these figures and could you just talk a little bit more about like what your day to day is, and like when it comes to like from concept to design, like what, you know, what that looks like to people like us who have no idea?
It's, I don't know. I guess it's maybe what you think it is. Like I get up in the morning, you know, have some coffee, read a few like emails, and it's like I have a thing of clay, you heat it up, and I just start watching. I'm either watching the Turtles cartoon, you know, whatever episode we're focusing on, like, you know, we're making this character or that character. So I'm just watching the Turtles cartoon or the movie, or I'm watching like walkthroughs of the video game and just like taking notes and, okay, this would make a good accessory. Like, here's a good, you know, this would be a good figure. But every day it's just like, you know, I get paid to like watch cartoons and movies and just sculpt these toys.
Dude,
you know,
so it's way better than I even thought.
Yeah, I was like, replace the clay with
that's
food.
That's what it is. We just make toys, right?
Yeah.
So
talk about the clay again.
And then we'll get samples in from China. So we'll get test shots and like the deco samples. So those come in, you unbox those, review them, make notes, make comments, send the stuff back. And yeah, it's like playing with toys and then sculpting new toys to go with the old toys and watching cartoons all day.
That's great.
That's kind of it.
That's badass. I love that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wind down here. I know you guys got some commitments. As stuff comes out, we get down the line, maybe closer to Toy Fair next year. We'll definitely want to have you guys back on to when the reveal. Like a lot of times, I know people want the teases and the big news, but like the reveals are everything. Like you guys going into Toy Fair this year, there was no like hint like there's a rumor that Back to the Future is coming. Like it was just like boom, there it is. Let's all react at the same time. And by the way, the Back to the Future animated figures and like that DeLorean, like that's stuff I never even knew I wanted. Right. And that's the trick with collectors. Like give them the stuff they didn't even ever think about it. And you'll win us over. Real quick though, we do a thing on the podcast we call the fuck budget. And what that is we bring up topics and then we all talk about how much of a fuck we give or don't give about those things. So, I know you guys probably get asked all the time what your dream toy lines would be, but we're not going to do that. We're going to tell you our dream toy lines, and you have to tell us whether or not
how many fucks you give,
how many fucks you give about ever participating in that. And we don't have to be too detailed, but Abby, you want to do this rundown for Randy and Trevor?
Yeah, you get 10 fucks, so just be mindful of that. The first one, let me know how many fucks you give about a toy line for Twister. 0 fucks.
Wait, I hope we're not putting you guys too much on the spot here.
Trevor, you Twister fan?
I wouldn't probably give too many fucks about that one, I guess.
Okay. You can give 0 fucks, proudly.
What about Independence Day?
Definitely 0 for me. Despise it.
Oh, okay. I feel like that's like a whole nother nother podcast. I love that. Okay, Trevor, I guess no Independence Day love from you either.
It's not high on the list, I don't think.
All right. Only got 2 more here. Demolition Man.
It would be fun, maybe somewhere in the middle, a 4 or 5, just because it's so goofy that it's fun, and you can't Stallone, and it would be fun.
Okay, I think those were the only 3 we really came up with. The thing is you guys are basically like all the good stuff's taken. Like you already do Alien and Predator and everything else. And by the way, I loved the Rocky figures you guys did too. So you guys are absolutely killing it. What any other teases or information you wanted to get out there before we wrap up? I know San Diego Comic-Con's not happening. Do you guys have any announcements coming up about exclusives?
Yeah, we do. There are still the exclusives are still happening. So we have 4 exclusives, but they will obviously not be at the convention. So since there is no convention, they will be with 2 different retail partners and online. So we are not revealing. Normally around this time, we've already started talking and showing a little bit, but we're timing the release around when San Diego would have taken place. So in that early to mid July range. And so we're not really revealing what they are until they're closer to being on shelf, because we really want to just surprise the hell out of people, like we did at Toy Fair, basically, and say, hey, go get this at Target or go get this Walmart, or you can order it online right now, and just really blow it up that way with that call to action as soon as they're available. 4 exclusives are coming. Alien, Predator, Gremlins, and Turtles all have some pretty cool exclusives this year. The Turtles is probably my favorite one. It might be my favorite Turtles exclusive we've ever done. I brought it home today to share with my family, even because I finally have a complete set, because there's some extra peripheral items that sort of tie into what this thing is. And I was just so elated by how it turned out, and all the little bonuses that tie into it that I wanted to come home and like, you know, share that with the family. That's how much I like this thing. So I can't refuse until everyone sees what it is.
I love that. It's like my dad came home with like a golden retriever. I wish he had NECA exclusives. That's amazing. That's really great. Well, we're excited about. I mean, that's a good tease. I mean, not that we weren't excited already, but that's very very cool. And cool. And Trevor, what's on your desk? If you can talk about it, what are you working on this week? And if you can't talk about it, that's okay.
No, yeah, it's a bunch of turtle stuff on my desk.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
And there's a little bit of everything, like Randy said. Like there's some cartoon stuff sitting on my desk. There's a video game thing. There's a movie thing. They're all in various stages of, yeah, I don't know.
It's cool. Just send us a picture.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah. You take a picture, send it to us, and we'll let you know what we think. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So listen, guys, we're excited. We love what you do, and more than anything, we appreciate it as fans of these properties and collectors. We could spend hours going into Jake's Gremlins collection or my Turtles collection and or Godzilla. Like we've got it all. We won't bring up Independence Day anymore. I'm never watching it again. Because Randy said no.
No.
And no, we just appreciate your time, and we know you guys are busy, so we
thanks for talking to us, guys. We appreciate
can't
it.
thank you enough.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem, especially with no conventions out there. It's like this is the only way to interact, and even with all the reveals we have planned for San Diego, we'll probably have to do some sort of virtual Comic-Con or some online stuff on Instagram Live and Facebook Live and things like that, just to do some Q&A type of stuff and reveal some of the things that we've had, because we're losing that ability to be face to face and have that impact of all the press being there and fans lining up to buy the exclusives and all that kind of stuff. We're unfortunately doing without this year, so we have to do it in some other way. So stuff like this, or any of the press, or Trevor just did one with Toy Shiz, like stuff like that just helps let people know like we're still plugging along. We're doing a lot of new work. It's going to be cool stuff to buy, and while the world seems to keep going from bad to worse, at least you can distract yourself or forget about how effed up everything is for a little while when you have, a new or fun toy in your hand. It makes everything a little less painful, I guess.
Oh, that's that's kind of our motto. Like if we talk about stress a lot, and it's like, you're stressed, buy a toy. I'm going to go buy a toy because our
Facebook group is called Group Therapy because we talk about all the toys that we collect and how it helps us. So it's very true.
It's good stuff. We've been doing it the last couple of years. We know about the online. I think we were out in LA last year for Ghostbusters Fan Fest, which was a big anniversary convention for Ghostbusters. And we left our hotel and then literally ran back to get on the Wi-Fi because the NECA sale was about to happen. So we know the drill. We're excited. Well, listen, Randy, Trevor, thank you guys so much for hanging out. We'll have you back on the show anytime. And obviously, everybody knows what you guys are doing. So keep up the amazing work, and we can't thank you enough.
Thanks, y'all.
All right. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah.